Okay, we're supposed to start with our whole crew here at 10 o'clock. The president is in town, and folks are tied up in a little bit of a motorcade traffic jam. I expect probably about 10:15 that they'll be rolling in. So we're just doing a couple of things here. Dr. Lin from the group is here, and just figure would keep this going a little bit and let him speak. And then as the others come in, we'll maybe take a break before then, or I'm keeping up with the status of everybody on here. So just wanted you to know how things are going, so you'll know when the focus of the event is going to begin. So, but we're fortunate we have Dr. Lin here. So actually, let's trade seats because you're, you know.
It's okay.
main person
Can I
for
just
the
speak
group
to
now.
this one? Yeah, it's fine. You
Yeah,
can
go
say-
ahead. That's okay.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to do the presentation in Las Vegas, Nevada. And so the chairman, Brian Kennedy, and also co-chairman Frank Gaffney for the Committee of President China, they are currently in the traffic jam with President's motorcade. So I will do a brief introduction because for the Committee of President, several members have engaged in a tour to many states to do a briefing, kind of comprehensive briefing about the threat that China presents to the United States in multiple angles, from political, military, economies, and public health, human rights, so many different aspects. So we're really glad to have this opportunity to go to different states because many of the issues actually not just like federal level, actually related to states. And so one of the issues we've been talking about is many states pension funds, even federal street saving plans, they are engaging in investment into Chinese company. These companies actually, they were active drivers for China building its surveillance state. And so this is a huge issue and also strengthening our national securities. So from my angle, in the different presentation, I talk about the human rights issues and also public health aspect. Just a brief introduction about myself. My name is Xiaoxu Sean Lin. My English name is Sean. So I immigrated from China, and I was a survivor from the Tiananmen Square massacre. So in 1989, when I was just a freshman in the college, and I joined in the student movements, and I was actually on the Tiananmen Square on the night of the massacre, and hear the PLA open fire in the Tiananmen Square. When you hear the gunshot, when you hear the bullets hitting the monuments, and I thought I could never get out of the square that night, and really horrifying moment. And fortunately, I was able to withdraw with a group of students in the early morning of June 4th. And when we passing the square, around the square and heading north, passing the Chang'an Street, and there were actually a tank passing by the student group. So all the students were scared. So one of the young students was so petrified, he fell down to the ground. But the tank passed him and then stopped, and then intentionally roll back, crash his head. Yeah, so it was so terrible. It was the first time I see people's head just like a piece of paper on the ground. Yeah, I was so young, but I got a serious taste of what the communist regime can do to its people, to its young people. And so that memory always stuck with me for decades now. And it's sad. Nobody knows what's the name of the student nowadays. So probably people remember about the tank man who stand in front of the tank in the Tiananmen Square. But there are so many people die, and people don't know where their bodies end up. So this is one example of how the Chinese government can treat its own people. And after that, in the 1999, I experienced another huge human rights atrocity in China. That's when Chinese government started cracking down of Falun Dafa, Falun Gong group. So Falun Dafa, Falun Gong is a ancient Chinese meditation, kind of like Tai Chi and yoga, with 5 sets exercise to improve people's mind and body. And it was very popular in China in the 90s. And before Chinese government cracked it down, it reached to more than 70 million followers in China. And because it grew even bigger than the Communist Party, the Chinese leader at the time was Jiang Zemin. He was so paranoid, and he decided to crack down the whole group. So it became a huge atrocity in China too. Millions of people lost their ways of support their families, lose jobs, and many people lost their lives. We document thousands of people persecuted to death, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. And many people are still being incarcerated in China in detention center, labor camps, and tortured. And one of the most evil crime that has been exposed is that the Chinese government actually using so many Falun Gong practitioners as a live organ bank and do the live organ harvesting on these prisoners of conscience. So basically, how does Chinese government establish this enterprise to harvest people's organs? So it's because when so many Falun Gong practitioners were incarcerated, the Chinese government realized suddenly they have millions of people incarcerated and they are healthy individuals. And so when they collected people's blood samples, do the tissue type matchings, and then they established a database nationwide. So at the beginning, the military hospital collaborated with the Chinese judicial system, police system. They started to treat these people as an organ bank. And so when they had a demand in a military transplant center, they go to this labor camp detention center, identify the person, kill the person, take the organ on site, and then ship it to the transplant center and do the transplantation. And they charge huge. And so it's such a terrible crime. And because it's such a lucrative business, so there are many civilian hospitals, civilian transplant center also got engaged. So that's why you see China's transplant industry booming after the 2000s. More than 600 transplant center booming in China within 5 to 6 years. And many of the transplant center was so aggressive, they even advertised on their website saying, you come to our transplant center, we can promise deliver you a kidney transplant in 2 to 4 weeks, and liver transplant for about 1 to 2 months. And can you